Let's talk about the 60-40. Let's say that the 60-40 is something that can be taken seriously, because the Errol people run away with that 60-40 argument. They run away with it. So let's say that that's a legitimate offer, even though at this point, the real boxing fans, we know we can't take Errol seriously, because he's already said this, he's already said that, not honored this or that, not honored anything that he said he was going to honor. Because if he did, after Bud Crawford got a belt, we would have had that fight. But we don't. We got Errol taking the easy route. We got Mikey Garcia. We got Danny Garcia. And we got Sean Porter. All fights that really didn't need to happen. Maybe the Sean Porter did, because that was a unification. But Mikey and Danny didn't need to happen. But that's it. That's it. So we're taking Errol seriously, right? We're going to say Errol is serious. And 60-40 is indeed a real offer. Let me ask you this, okay? What makes an A-side fighter? What makes an A-side fighter? To cap that off, what is A-side? What is A-side? Because there are a lot of fighters that claim that they're A-side, but I don't know that they have a full grasp of what A-side actually is. I don't know that they have a full understanding of what that actually is. Let me ask y'all this. Would Dennis Ugas demand 50-50 from Floyd Mayweather? Would Dennis Ugas, or even Terence Crawford from that matter, would they demand 50-50 from Floyd Mayweather or Manny Pacquiao or Canelo? If they wouldn't, why not? If they wouldn't, why not? Because if you're a true A-side fighter and you can make demands like 60-40, 70-30, or whatever I give you, motherfuckers should be willing to jump at the opportunity to step in the ring with you. Even with that, I don't remember anyone turning down a Floyd Mayweather fight. I don't remember anyone turning down a Manny Pacquiao fight or a Canelo fight or an AJ fight. I don't recall anyone having any kind of split disputes with any of these fighters. So why is it that there's so much issues? Why is it that there's so many problems as far as coming up with good split for Errol Spence and Terence Crawford, or Errol Spence and Dennis Ugas, who's also asking for 50-50? Why is that an issue? Because Mayweather never had that as an issue when he was talking about A-side and stuff like that. I don't recall Robert Guerrero or even Canelo, for that matter, giving Mayweather a problem when it came to him being A-side. You know what I mean? Let's talk about the fights that actually have 50-50. Fury AJ going on right now. That's 50-50. But to cap that off, Wilder versus Fury 2 was 50-50 as well. So Fury and AJ was a 50-50 fight. Wilder and Fury 2 was a 50-50 fight. Wilder being the biggest star in boxing in America. But let me clarify, because even my boy Knockout 86 TV said that Wilder's the only person who has done better numbers than Errol Spence. Even my boy Knockout said that. So this would be the biggest American star, but yet he conceded to give Tyson Fury 50-50 in a fight with Tyson Fury. The second fight. The first fight was a 60-40 fight. But let's put things in context. Because again, I'm not going to just start saying no shit. I'm always going to give context. This was a Tyson Fury with no fan base. A Tyson Fury with no belt, unless you count that Ring Magazine belt, which is some bullshit any goddamn way. This was a Tyson Fury who hadn't fought since Klitschko, who was coming off of a goddamn mental health breakdown or whatever the fuck you want to call that. And he got 64. Let's give you another example. Mayweather versus Pacquiao. Pacquiao had 7 losses. Mayweather by far was the bigger star, the bigger draw. Pacquiao was intent on taking that 50-50 from Mayweather. 50-50 or no fight. How many of y'all remember that? 50-50 or no fight. How many of y'all remember that? And what happened? Pacquiao got knocked out by Juan Manuel Marquez. Pacquiao got knocked out by Juan Manuel Marquez. And then at that point, he seemed a little bit more willing to make a fight. Has Terence Crawford got knocked out? Does Terence Crawford have 7 losses on his resume? This is what the point that I'm trying to make is concessions got to be made on both sides in order to make a big fight. Manny Pacquiao, despite his losses, was a big money fighter. He was a big fighter. He was big for the sport. Mayweather the same. They constantly put these two guys' names together. So much so to the point where they had to fight. Well, guess what? The fight wouldn't have happened. I don't think the fight would have happened. If Manny Pacquiao would have never gotten knocked out by Juan Manuel Marquez, I don't think that fight would have happened. Period. I don't think that fight would have ever happened. But this leads me into the last and final point that I'm going to make. Okay? And this is what a lot of the Earl people do not understand. This is what they don't get. Business is about more than hard numbers. Let me say that shit again for the people in the back. Business is about more than just cold, hard numbers. There's a factor in business that is more so, if not just, is just as important, if not more so important than cold, hard numbers, and that's called leverage. That's called leverage. What does that mean? What if you were a welder and you made $13 an hour? Or I was said I was going to pay you $13 an hour. Well, you could take the $13 an hour. You could take it, but you know you a master welder. Fuck it, I can make more money elsewhere. That's what you Earl dudes don't get. That's that component of the whole business talk that y'all make that y'all don't understand. Terence Crawford doesn't have to fight Errol Spence. like vice versa. But Terence doesn't have to fight Errol Spence. We want the fight to be made. We want the fight to happen. We're the ones that's calling for the fight. But the fact of the matter is, Terence Crawford can go his whole career without fighting Errol Spence and would be just as good, if not in a better situation than what he is right now. Just as good, if not a better situation than what he is right now. And here's the difference. Nobody can say that about Floyd Mayweather or Manny Pacquiao or Canelo or AJ.